and this is curious now, for me. So what do you think separates those people who unfortunately, 'cause I mean, I had man, this was in law school, as you have me thinking back now, we just graduated law school, and I had a buddy who from South Carolina, just a good brother, a real good brother. Hey, I'm an attorney, but I kind of fell into this. I wasn't one of those guys who always wanted to be an attorney growing up, and he was more so one of those guys. And he just unfortunately got into a situation with the law after after law school, as he was practicing as an attorney for like within government. And obviously, if you get into the law, I mean, if you get into trouble with the law, you know, as a government, worker, especially as an attorney, then you maybe understand what's coming down the pipeline, even though it may be a difficult time or maybe a dark time at that point in time. For me, as I was looking at the situation, it was like, man, that's not the end of your life. You're like maybe mid-20s at this point. You can't think that that's the end of your life. But unfortunately, he took his life as a
Sorry.
result of that experience, or just kind of going through that situation. So I guess with that being said, what do you think like separates people who if you look at those dark times or those negative situations that happen in life, and they're going to come at some point. So what is the difference between a person who like overcomes it or looks at it differently and want to learn from it and get better from it, and in some way, get out of it and kind of look back and use it as a story to motivate others, as opposed to someone who looks at it and just is very in a dark space as a result of it, or maybe in a worst case scenario, take their life as a result of it. So what do you think is the differentiating factor between someone who looks at it and overcomes it as opposed to someone who doesn't?
That's a great question. I think there's probably multiple things. I don't think it's just one thing. I
Gotcha.
think, first of all, I think it's like, your faith, right? Like,
Okay.
I think having a strong faith, and I haven't always had a strong faith life. I actually left my church for a number of years, and my faith I didn't practice
Yeah.
when I was going through the dark times, because I'm like, all right, like, how can I want to take my life and still believe that there's a God, right? Or that Jesus was there. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any
Yeah.
means,
Yeah.
but no, I don't want to be preachy or anything like that. But when I say, I think, like, having a good foundation in what you believe in your faith, whatever it is that you believe, and then I think making good decisions. I always tell my son, I have a 16-year-old son, or will be 16 on March 20th. My wife and I do, and like I'm like, you get to make one life, right? You have one life, and so what decisions do you make? Because I always tell my son he's made for greatness, right?
Yeah.
God put us all on earth to be great, and so we have choices that we get to make. So what choices are you going to make? Is it, do you want that instant gratification, or do you want to work hard for what you want to have in life? And so, like, being able to share that with him, and I think having that mindset has
Yeah.
always been something for me. And then I think, like, knowing that this is a temporary low point, and then how can I overcome? So I think having a good support system, and that's where I've been very fortunate. If I didn't have my parents or some of my friends or my teachers or my family members, I probably wouldn't be here today, right? So I think, understanding that, not everybody gets to that point, right? Like, I mean, this is where, again, like we said at the beginning, David, we don't know what other people are going through.
Right. Yeah.
You might run into somebody at the grocery store, at the gym, or at church that's really struggling.
Yeah.
You could have like one kind thing. You could be the light. Like, this is where I say, like, make a difference, make an impact.
Yeah.
Just by being kind and nice to people, you might lift somebody's spirits up, and they might be really dark, and they might be thinking about doing something that they shouldn't do, right?
Yep.
And again, we all make mistakes. We're all guilty of it. We all do things that we shouldn't do.
Yep.
But then it's in the response of that messiness and that darkness. How do we, like, rise above that? How do we overcome those things? And like, that's something I'm a big believer. That's why Fortitude is in my business name.
Yep.
It's all about being courageous through
Crazy.
adversity, right?
Yep.
Courage through adversity. Life's not easy. Life stinks at times, right?
Oh,
Like, it's